Well, what do you say? We hook the truck up and try and give her a pull?
Yep. And today we are moving 20,300 pound boulder. Anthony is going to do his first attempt. I decided to videotape this so we could show others how to do it.
Yep.
And you got the uncaring Anthony right now, Nick later on. So 20,000 pounds, and Anthony's method is, what do you call this?
Rolling it on logs.
Okay, the Egyptian method of rolling on logs. And a key element of this, by the way, is never, ever, ever put your hands underneath as you jack up this boulder, because it will certainly crush your fingers and hands. And that's a big rule to keep going. And I will show you the jack in a second. We are going to try to move a 20,300 pound boulder with a tractor using Anthony's Egyptian roller method. We have some movement, but it doesn't seem like it wants to overcome the friction of the logs rolling against the dirt. Okay, now Anthony's going to attempt to move this 20,300 pound boulder with his truck and the rollers. Let's see what happens. Keep on telling Anthony, don't break your truck.
Budge.
Try again, let's see. Not much. No.
Okay.
Yeah, you got your uncare. And this is similar to the hydraulic jack that Anthony used. I think it was 10,000 pounds that he used, but here's a 12,000 from Lowe's, sells for 54. I think he found one that went for about 40 bucks. So what he did was he jacked up the four corners of the 20,000 pound boulder, and we would put 6x6s underneath other areas close to the jack to prop it up. And we did, all four corners, outside edges, and then maybe even one or two that were like in the middle of the outside edges. And at some points we had to jack a little higher than a 6x6. So we put a 2x4 on top of the 6x6, and he would put a 5/4 inch board or a 2x4 underneath his jack so he could jack higher. So we had to jack the boulder up enough to easily slide 4x4s underneath. And very important, the boulder has to not touch the ground at any point, otherwise game over. So this is kind of the Unc's way of depicting our design approach. Hopefully you could read it. So what we have is a side view of our ski sled. The ski sled is comprised of four 4x4x8s that are wrapped in tarp, 10 mil tarp. We then, we spaced them probably about a foot apart. So four of them, it was about 4 foot wide, call it. And then we attached those wrapped 4x4s with plain old 2x4s. And at each attachment point, we used 4 screws. So let's call it, we used 4 times 8 attachment points, 32 screws that were like 3-inch long. You want to put a lot of screws in there so you avoid caulking, and that was a lesson learned that we used. Or I'll just say, twisting of the boards. So Again, the boulder cannot touch the tarp on the ground, even during its travel. So in between these wrapped 4x4x8s, we then laid a 10 mil tarp on the ground and put motor oil between them. So sequence of assembly, we did the tarp on the ground, we put motor oil on top using a broom, and again, never put our hands underneath the boulder. That's rule number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through 100. So we spread the motor oil, covered the entire surface of the tarp that was on the ground, and then we slid the wrapped 4x4s into place, and then we added those 2x4s. The next tarp, again, we underlapped, so you want to make sure it goes under, not over. And also, concerning the tarps on the ground, orient them so that the ski sled does not slide over any metal eyelet holes. These tarps usually come with eyelet holes on 2 edges. An important feature of the 4x4 is 45-degree chamfer or bevel on the front ends to make it kind of like a ski, so it lifts up in the air, and that way if it encounters a rock that protrudes during its travel, it'll jump over it. And next up, we will see how it all went.
Are you happy?
We'll get there. We'll get there.
So you got the Anchor again, and Maria and Anthony's rock is now into position. We moved it about 30 feet. Again, it weighs a little over 20,000 pounds. And the main mechanism, again, was the ski sled. So let me explain a little bit about this. These are 4x4s, and we joined them together to make it into a sled. Otherwise, it's just skis, with 2x4s on each end. And that was to prevent the skis from getting cocked. Now this is what it looks like after the move. So you can see that they did get a little cocked. They got beat up a little bit, but they were carrying 20,000 pounds. Key elements about this: they are wrapped in 10 mil tarp, and it sells for about 25 bucks at Lowe's. And then after they're wrapped, we did attach any eyelet holes with some honker staples that you pound in. And that one I had to use just a outdoor twisted nail. So after they're wrapped and attached with the staples, they're then wrapped with some good duct tape. And the seam is on the top, so the bottom and even the sides are perfectly smooth, because we wanted to have smooth plastic on plastic with oil in between. Another key feature about this is, if you look down here, the bottom edge has a 45-degree angle. So it's flat here, 45-degree angle. That too is wrapped, but that gives it the ski effect. like a ski would come up in, in the, it would be tilted up in the air at the front of it. And that prevents the 4x4s from getting caught in any rock that's embedded into the surface of the dirt or even uneven surfaces. So it gives it the ski effect. And we did use a couple of Anthony's Egyptian rollers at the tail end to get it in position. The ski sled did work better than the Egyptian rollers, and that was our main mechanism. And the rock is moved. You got the uncare. God bless America. Have a good day.